Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, and boy, do I have some exciting news for you. Let's get right into it. We're talking week 4 touchdown picks today. Here is the entire amalgamation of stats, touchdown stats for the first 3 weeks of the NFL. Is amalgamation a word? I'm starting to doubt that. I believe it is. I believe it is a sum of parts. So look that up today. There's your word of the day. This is me, guys. A rocket scientist in the Google Sheets. I have finally perfected the head-to-head matchups that I've been talking about for weeks. And along with that, the tribe has spoken. We will not have a paid Discord. I knew in my heart it didn't feel right, but I wanted you guys to convince me that it was. Why would you guys convince me that paying for something is good? You're never going to do that. You're going to want it for free, and I'm here to give it for you free. Give it to you for free for you. Justin B. 499 says, maybe worrying about showing us some winning picks before you start asking us to pay for them. Fair, Justin. Very fair. So from now on, all head-to-head matchups will be in the weekly video for you guys to use as you wish. Scroll, pause, screenshot, whatever you want to do. I don't care. But if you watch it, I get ad revenue. So you're kind of paying me anyway with your time. That's that. Last week, we didn't fare too badly. Our one-unit plays are awful. That's it, okay? We are getting crushed in our tier 1 unit plays. Overall, we're 13 and 36, which doesn't sound good, but we are positive 0.08 units. I know that's not much. Our tier 2 plays are doing the best, up 5.43 units, and I'm thankful for that. We had Hopkins, Naylor, Jennings, and Shakir on Monday Night Football. Those were good. We also had Jamar Chase first TD, which I gave out. So what I decided to do this week, and you're going to notice, is scale it back a little bit. I think I have been overbetting because I was excited, right? It's hard to enter a football season and not just go crazy. But a smart, balanced sports bettor knows that bankroll management is the biggest thing. So we're going to peel back a little bit, slow down. I'm going to give you the data. You're welcome to bet as much as you would like, but I am going to slow down my suggested plays. As always, I give out 3 different types of plays, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, based on the odds that they are. I would recommend 1 unit, half unit, and 0.25 units on all of these. I would recommend also playing promos as much as possible. It adds extra value to these bets. I'm going to track everything and be as transparent as possible, but it doesn't mean I'm going to actually play it, okay? Hear me and understand me there. These are the totals for the week. A lot of low totals, truly. Washington, Arizona, Cincinnati, Carolina, Baltimore, Buffalo, Seattle, Detroit are your top projected scoring games. A lot in the 30s, which is not great for touchdowns, but we'll talk about it. As you see, my tier 1 is blank, my tier 2 is blank, and by golly, my tier 3 is blank. What do you think about first TD? You think that's blank too? It absolutely is. Not quite, because I still have this nasty stuff here. And all of it's blank because of this, baby. Behold, she's a beauty. So real quick, what I've done is I have sorted this out into 4 different quadrants. In this first quadrant, you're going to have the away team's offensive stats versus the home team's defensive. Then next to it, you're going to have the home team's offensive stats versus the away team's defensive. Then you're going to have the same thing down below as it relates only to first touchdowns, all right? And I just want to make this clear. Yards from touchdown on your first drive. So on average, Dallas is finishing their first drive at the 54-yard line. And New York is allowing teams to get to the 31-yard line, right? Dallas is allowing teams to get to the 11-yard line. The Giants are getting to the 50-yard line. So just based on that data alone, it may be wise to take the Giants to score first tonight. Pick a guy on the Giants, okay? I'm not saying that's a good idea, but I'm saying that is how you can kind of think about this data. Otherwise, I will let you guys do what you need to do with this, pause it, look at it. But what jumps out to me, and we're going to do this for everyone quickly, is right over here. Dallas is allowing a lot of rushing touchdowns, all right? 2 to the QB, which is pretty bad as it relates to the average numbers in the NFL, 7 to running backs. You can get Singletary for plus 125 on FanDuel right now. You can get Daniel Jones, who has not scored this year, but is the second leading rusher on the team, at plus 330. I think Daniel Jones plus 330 is a great price in terms of value. Those are just 2 picks I have. Now, that doesn't mean that Dallas does not have opportunities, right? You can look over here and say, okay, they're scoring late. They dominate with wide receiver, and the Giants are allowing 4 wide receiver touchdowns, which is, this aligns well, as I'm saying. So Dallas scores a lot of touchdowns in the air. The Giants allow a lot of touchdowns in the air. Dallas does not score a lot of touchdowns on the ground, but the Giants don't allow a lot of touchdowns on the ground. So maybe you want to target Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, okay? That is how you can look at this chart. I'm not going to be able to do that today. I was actually running out of time. I got to go pick up my child in like 45 minutes, so I'm trying to crank this video out. But I was excited to bring you these new updates, so let's move on. This game I'm skipping just because I think it's solid defense. If you look at the defensive categories, it's a ton of green on all sides, so I am not going to play this, but if you want to play this, you can feel free to pause it and look for some matchups you like. The Rams and the Bears, again, I think Kyron Williams is a great pick if you don't have to pay attention to the juice. The Rams have scored 4 touchdowns on the ground, and the Bears have given up 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Both of these are out of a total of 6 scored and 6 allowed, so a big percentage going on the ground, but his number is like minus 175, so I think it's priced accordingly, so I'm ignoring that. But what else jumps out at me is this. I know it's not promising in terms of Chicago's number. It's only 2 passing touchdowns, but defensively, the Rams are allowing 7 touchdowns through the air, which is one of the league's worst based on the colors we can see being that it is red. And I think we saw Caleb Williams get a little bit more rhythm last week with his receiver. So Rome Odunze and DJ Moore, I think both of those numbers, 280 and 180, are good prices. There is hope, expectation, that Keenan Allen will return this week, which could take targets away from these guys. So just monitor that. Maybe you want to play Keenan Allen. Thankfully, after this game, somebody will have some numbers in the offensive category. Neither of these teams has scored the first touchdown all year. Minnesota and Green Bay, I think the best thing to target in this one you can see is Minnesota's passing touchdowns. 8 out of their 9 total touchdowns scored have been through the air, and 5 of the 7 allowed by Green Bay are through the air. So Addison is also coming back, kind of a similar situation as we saw with the Bears, getting that number 2 wide receiver back into the fold. But I still think Naylor has scored all 3 weeks. I might ride him till the wheels fall off, okay? 275 I think is pretty good. He's getting targets. He's getting action. And I think even when Addison returns, we don't know how healthy Addison will be, if he'll play 80% of snaps, if he'll play 50% of snaps, if he'll only see a few targets. So I like Naylor at 275, but if you think Addison's workload is going to be at the high end of things, go ahead and target Addison. Minnesota has not allowed a first defensive touchdown all year, but Green Bay has scored in 2 out of the 3. So, it could be anybody's game, but as we see, Minnesota's dominating first TD. Pittsburgh and Indy is a skip from me. Absolutely disgusting. Pittsburgh is one of the better defenses, or they've played the worst offensive teams. You can be the judge. I know this is all small sample size data, but it's here, and you can do with it what you may. So this is a case of a bad offense and an okay defense in Indy, and an okay offense and a good defense. So it's just, I don't see a lot of edges or angles. You can comb through this and maybe you can find something, but for me, it's a skip. Denver and New York, kind of the same thing. Denver did not really get going offensively until last week. I think all of their offensive scored came from last week, almost. I think maybe they actually only had 2 last week, but they did score a touchdown against Seattle week 1. I know that. But the Jets defense has just been pretty good all year, so I don't really like Denver guys. If we look at the Jets offense, if I have to squeak something out, you see a 5 and a 2 here. That might be something. Breece Hall or Braylon Allen could be an option, but again, I'm skipping this one. Game in Tampa Bay, I think, has some really good opportunities on both sides of the ball, both teams. Philadelphia, obviously, we know about their dominating rushing. 5 to Saquon Barkley, 1 to Jalen Hurts, 5. Okay, the running back scored. So what this means, I know this looks weird. Saquon Barkley caught a pass is what this is saying. So they have 5 to the running back, 1 to the QB. So you would say that's 6 rushing touchdowns. Oh, they only have 5 rushing touchdowns. It's because one of these passing touchdowns, you can see here, 3 passing, 2 to the receiver. The one that's missing from this, or the one that's added from this, is Saquon Barkley. So, I could probably clarify that a little bit better in this data, but as you guys know, it's a work in progress, and I'm doing my best to keep evolving this into something that's useful. The point is, Philadelphia, 5 rushing touchdowns. Tampa Bay allowed 6 rushing touchdowns of 6 touchdowns allowed. They've only allowed rushing touchdowns this year. I think Jalen Hurts at plus 130 is a fantastic price, given that Tampa Bay has allowed 3 quarterback rushing touchdowns, which dang near probably leads the NFL. If you want to, you can go back to the first slide where it's all listed and compare in that, where all the teams are listed. But I think Hurts at plus 130 is a great price. And then the other side of the ball, kind of a tale of two sides here. Tampa Bay, 6 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. Philadelphia, 5 allowed, 1 rushing. So, just look at these columns flipped. Okay, we got a really good rushing team and a really bad rushing defense, a really good passing team and a really bad passing defense. Parlay all 4. Okay, I don't like parlays. I'll tell you guys, don't bet parlays, but put Barkley, Hurts, Godwin, and Evans all in a parlay. Okay, and throw it together. All right, I'm kidding, but maybe. Okay, the writing's on the wall there if you trust the data. Also, there's someone coming to finish a job they started cutting down my tree, and I believe he's here because my dogs are going absolutely unbelievably crazy downstairs, and I'm not stopping the video because, like I said, I'm on a time crunch. T. Higgins at plus 200 is too good. It's unbelievably good. Higgins had, I don't know how many red zone targets this last week, a lot. He did not end up catching any. One, he caught in the end zone, but his foot was out of bounds. The other, he dropped in the end zone. So 2 different drives, he had his hands on the ball in the end zone twice and was unable to secure it. This is a team, of the 7 scored, 5 have been passing. Of the 11 allowed, 7 have been passing. They're allowing 5 to receivers. They're scoring 5 with receivers. So again, I think it's a great matchup here for Cincinnati's wide receivers. I like Higgins at plus 200. This is where I said, I got to record this video, and I can't give out picks for every single one. So in the coming weeks, I plan to do what I just did for the first 7 games and give out picks and give out angles. On these, I'm just going to allow you guys to see them, come to your own conclusions here, and just we'll call this a rough draft, a practice run with this new data, and hopefully in the following weeks, I'll have something that's more seamless, if you will. Seamless and amalgamation. I am killing it today. Somebody get Merriam-Webster on the line, okay? I'm a walking thesaurus. Jacksonville and Houston. Just looking at this data, not a ton jumps out at me besides the fact that Jacksonville's defense is just not great. They haven't been good all year, and they got beat up last week at Buffalo. So maybe you want to target Houston's. They're kind of low. I figured they would have more touchdowns. Only 4 offensive touchdowns scored. It's because last week against Minnesota, they didn't look good. Okay, Washington and Arizona. Washington is scoring a lot. 6 rushing touchdowns. Arizona's allowing some rushing touchdowns. That might be something to look at. 3 QB, 2 QB allowed might be something to look at. Maybe Jaden Daniels gets in again. Washington has not scored first all year and has given up 3. Arizona has 2 first touchdowns passing, which leads the NFL, crazy enough. Otherwise, Washington's defense is pretty bad at passing. So maybe you target some Arizona wide receivers. That could be an option. They've allowed 9 touchdowns to wide receivers, and they've scored 4, a league high. So this could be a big game for Kyler Murray and his wide receivers. Something to look at. New England and San Francisco, one of the worst offenses in New England and a decent defense in San Francisco, although I kind of expected it to be a little bit better, but they have kind of slacked off against Minnesota and the Rams the last 2 weeks. And New England's defense isn't too bad, so this would probably be a skip for me anyway. If I really combed into it, there's nothing here that jumps off the page. Cleveland and Las Vegas, again, 2 defenses that aren't horrible. 5 passing, maybe something to look out for Cleveland if you like Amari Cooper to get in again. I know he finally found some chemistry last week. Cleveland's defense, 3 to running backs, 3 to receivers, kind of, evenly split there. Looks pretty evenly split. Don't have an immediate jump off the page lean. So we'll move on. Kansas City and the Chargers. Chargers defense is looking pretty good. Kansas City's defense is okay, about league average. I think this team and the Chargers is going to run a ton this week. I don't know what Kansas City's going to do. They haven't been amazing. Kansas City has not scored an offensive first touchdown all year. That is a stat right there. Let it be known. But what's crazy is on their first drive. Okay, this is fascinating. On their first drive, they're averaging 5 yards away. So what that tells me is they are scoring on their first drive a lot, but they have let the other team get the ball first and score immediately. Almost every time. So maybe this is their week. Surely it's their week to score first against the Chargers. Buffalo and Baltimore, I'm excited for this one just in terms of watching a very good game. Buffalo's defense has been playing pretty well, or they've played some bad teams. Probably a little bit of both. Buffalo's offense leading the NFL with 13 scored, 6 rushing, 7 passing, getting it done on every single side, every single way. 2 to quarterback, 6 to running back, 4 to receiver, and 1 to tight end. Truly impressive. Definitely a first half team, 9-4 in terms of which side of the half the touchdowns are scored on. Baltimore's defense is giving up none overwhelmingly to one category, 5 to wide receiver if you want to look there. Baltimore has not allowed a first touchdown on defense all year, so that is something to look at as well. And again, this is data that I need to go back and look at. They have only scored twice first and never allowed a defensive first. So somewhere in there in the data, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because it should be 3. Like if this is 0, this should say 3. My guess is, and we'll have to look, Baltimore scored a special teams or a defensive touchdown first, and so that's not accounted for in this data. So like I said, this data is not perfect, but it's perfect to what it includes. Okay, there may be some things missing like that, but it's not wrong in what I do have here. Tennessee, Miami is your Monday night game. And Miami's offense only scoring 3 touchdowns this year, one of the league's worst. That's pretty interesting. Again, not a game I would probably target. Tennessee has some of the highest tight end touchdown scoring. Wouldn't have guessed that. What is this? Tennessee has only allowed 1 first touchdown, and it was to a pick 6 last week, I believe. So that's why theirs is a little bit weird here. Miami has never scored a first touchdown, so maybe your angle here is Tennessee to score the first touchdown in some way. 2 rushing, they've allowed 3, so maybe take a look at that. Detroit and Seattle, last game of the week. Again, a game I'm really excited for. Seattle's defense is looking pretty good, but they get their first real test with Detroit this week. Allowed to QB, allowed to wide receiver. Seattle's passing more, so maybe you look at some wide receivers, although their wide receiver touchdowns totals are down compared to the league average, but just something to think about, okay? So that's what we have for this week. I promise next week I'll be a little bit more put together, but I wanted to get this new look out to you, something that I think will be more helpful for everyone. I don't want you guys to blindly trust my plays. I want you guys to maybe come to your own conclusions based on this data. So I'm happy to bring this to you every week. Tell your friends about this if you do not mind. Send this to a buddy who you know bets the touchdowns, or someone who would be interested in this stuff. And we'll keep it free, baby. So good luck. We will see you guys tomorrow for our underdog picks. Take care and enjoy this fall weather.